Hello, I am Helena, and following on from the last time I talked about the flower of light, this beautiful pattern, I want to bring this in connection with us as humans. And I don't want to talk too much, but I want to bring the essence of where I'm coming from. And that is that Rudolf Steiner talks about the chakrams or the wheels or the lotus flowers in our body. And when we have those patterns of these light flowers, if we were to decide that that was fact, that these flowers or wheels are everywhere, when they come in contact with our human bodies in our energy centers, they take slightly different density, and he talks about them having different amounts of petals and different qualities. So like the throat energy center, for instance, is about discerning between truth and untruth, which in Bothmer we show in the symmetry, or the heart energy center, which is about connecting out with others. And Rudolf Steiner says, if we don't enjoy and get out to the world, and we don't become part of life, then we will mean nothing to the world, only to ourselves. And so the way I came to, during this Bothmer 30-day challenge in particular, as we were going up the evolutionary order, I suddenly realized, hold on, there is a connection here between the energy centers and the evolutionary order. And I don't know if you can see this, but here is the evolutionary order going upwards. I should have perhaps made this a little bit bigger, but the idea only came to me to show it like this morning. And I've put some things into colors. And in the bottom, where we have the light beat and the heavy beat, where it's still all very playful, that's where I put where the child is. That is still a little bit playful, so they are actually still in the sacral energy center, but then we are brought down to earth, to the root, where we're coming into the strong triangle and the extra strong triangle. And then when we arrive at the sideways circling and the rhythm, we're coming back up into the playful sacral energy center. And the sacral energy center is about flowing with life. It's the process when we have ideas, where we brainstorm, where we look, where we play with things. And then we come to the solar plexus, which Rudolf Steiner, but also the Indian traditions, describe as having 10 petals, and they are about the will forces. So we have here the frontal walk, the vertical walk, the movement to a goal. And then we come to the heart level, which is in the horizontal, the discus, the walking in the horizontal, the lion, where we overextend into the width, so we give a little bit too much of ourselves. And the vortex is there as well in the horizontal, but actually in Al-Haide's book, she describes the vortex, even though it's in the heart level, in the ages, as an exercise that is for 17-year-olds. So it's where we revisit as 17-year-olds the horizontal plane. And there is a quote that she puts in her book. So maybe you have already guessed that what I'm going to talk about is the vortex, or maybe not. So about the vortex, she quotes from Rilke, and I translated this, so it might not, there are different ways to translate it. That creating spirit or mind who masters the earthly loves nothing more than the turning point in the swing of the form. So the mastering of the earthly, what I felt when we have a plan and we want to bring that plan into reality, and that comes from my background where I've always had to live with many traditions, many religions in my life as I was growing up, and I always felt I wanted to bring it all together. I wanted to see what did they have in common. And one thing that goes through lots of religions is that when you bring the Trinity or the three planes, the spirit, the mind, and the body together, the spirit, soul, and body together, then you start creating. And I feel, or had that feeling as we were doing the vortex, that the vortex is exactly that. So we're bringing together the divine, compressing it down to the earthly, and then coming out, catapulting it into space. But with that comes a responsibility that we need to come from integrity. We need to come from that truthful place. So I had that feeling that if any exercise you do, you can put it before the vortex. Like, let's say I want to bring a plan I have out to the world. I want to connect this out to the world, and I'm looking for ideas. I'm looking for help from others. I go into the horizontal plane. I want to give and receive from the world. And then I take that out into the vortex and I catapult it out. But also, before I decide that I want to bring something out to the world, I need to know, is this only good for me or is this good for the collective? So then maybe perhaps I do the heart, or I call it the heart, the horizontal walk, and then I do the symmetry to discern truth from untruth, so that I really come from a genuine, authentic space. I go into the turning on the inclined plane, for instance, to bring this up from third eye, where the intuition comes in, to the top, and see if this is what is actually needed for the collective. And if in an idea I need something more playful, I need to have need new ideas, then I'd go into the sacral and the sacral energy center and go into the rhythm or the sideways circling. So depending on what I need in a plan or in something where I'm stuck with, one could figure out what is it that is needed here, what is it that is lacking here. And if we bring that back into the flowers, in the Indian tradition, we talk about the Ida and the Pingala Nadi. So they are lines that snake around the Kundalini, which Rudolf Steiner also mentions, that if one energy center isn't quite revolving or revolving too much, we bring an imbalance into that stream that goes through us. So we might have an open heart center, but maybe we are overthinking. So there's an overdrive going on, or there's a stuckness in the earthly, in the matter. So we're going into fear and we're going into gripping. So what I want to say is that one needs to be analytical with oneself, where the stuckness is coming from, and find the exercises that are right. So what I thought we do is I want to bring exercises in that contain as many as possible. So how many people know the combination that Martin brought of "May wisdom shine through me"? So may wisdom shine through me. We start with the symmetry. May wisdom shine through me. May love glow within me. And then into the frontal, may strength penetrate me. So this is as we're walking, that in me may arise a helper of mankind. a servant of holy things, selfless and true. So we're bringing all the walks together, and the frontal is the solar plexus, so it's our will, it's our drive, it's our willingness to try new things. It's our heart coming from a genuine, connected space that wants the best for all, and it's the symmetry that brings the discerning truth in. And then after that, we do the domes to allow inspiration. And then from there, we go into the rhythm to find playfulness with the whole. Clear? And then once we've done this twice, I want to bring the vortex behind that. So we catapult that positive intention that brings all the planes into movement, into alignment. Then we bring the vortex. But let's first do these 3 sections and then bring the vortex in. So, coming up with the arms to the height, feeling that space between the hands, that warm space between the palms that Katie was talking about. May wisdom in the symmetry shine through me. Into the horizontal, may love glow within me. Into the frontal walk, may strength penetrate me, that in me may arise a helper of mankind. Back to the horizontal, a servant of holy things, selfless and true. And then from here, we go into the domes, opening ourselves up into the 3 dimensions, allowing inspiration. And then coming into the rhythm, being playful with what has come our way. And then we start again. If you remember which side you started your symmetry to, do it the other way this time. So I'm taking my left arm back this time. May wisdom shine through me. May love glow within me. May strength penetrate me, that in me may arise a helper of mankind, a servant of holy things, selfless and true. And here we go into the domes. And into the rhythm. And just take a moment to feel how this sequence felt for you. And then we'll do the vortex together. So I'll talk slightly about the theory of the vortex. We're stretching ourselves up into the height. And then, like a spring, that is being compressed from the hips. We are bending forward with a straight body. And we do this rather fast, as if you're pushing down the spring and you're compressing space. The height comes into matter, and that swing of the arms catapults you back up, and you boing this out into the ether, into space. And this, of course, was the sequence I have chosen to take. One can choose any which sequence. If you're finding it hard to get going, you might have to do the plunge and then the boing it into space. And yeah, let's try that. So if we put the vortex behind that sequence, or if you find there is a part of the sequence that you need to change, where you say, hold on, I don't have enough earth, I have too much fear about my projects, then perhaps put the balance in. So I'm leaving it open to you to slightly play with the sequence to put in what it is needed for you. So we're going, if you're following me, into the symmetry. May wisdom shine through me. May love glow within me. May strength penetrate me, that in me may arise a helper of mankind, a servant of holy things, selfless and true, into the domes. So come back up, then out to the side, to the horizontal, opening here, and then coming into the rhythm. One more. And then this time, when we go up, when we're on tiptoes, there is like a Klappmesser in German, this knife that you put together. So from here, you're compressing space. And sending out all that positive intention into the world. And one more thing from what Katie said about the fingers. So if we're coming from a space of putting lots of things together, so finding what the traditions or the directions or the philosophies have in common, in the yogic and Indian traditions, we talk about mudras. So the finger movements. So the thumb stands for fire. So that's the will, that's our solar plexus. The index finger stands for air, which is our heart, which is our connection space. Then we have the middle finger, which I'm not going to separate, otherwise you think I'm rude, which is standing for space. The akasha, which is the throat and third eye energy center. Then we have the ring finger, which is earth, matter, where we deal with feeling safe and secure, feeling worthy, feeling grounded. So we have to have the balance that we're not too much in the idea realm, we're actually grounded on earth and we trust that we'll be provided for and we're not coming from a place of fear. And then the water element, the little finger, which is the sacral, which is the playful, aspect where we trust the flow of life, where we become playful with things to find new ideas. And where in the Indian traditions, you do certain mudras to bring different planes together. So you're connecting different aspects of the self into alignment so that you can create. In Bothmer, we are always learning that we need to have the thumb together with the fingers as we're sending that out. So we have that straight energy line coming through. So we're connecting out of space with all the elements that are within us. And that really made so much sense to me, that we're keeping this connection over and letting it go through all the aspects of ourselves. So I'm inviting discussion about this, because this is obviously just what occurred to me as connection, and maybe I'm stating the obvious and maybe I'm way off. So it's up to you to come in now and let me know what your thoughts are with respect to this.
Could we move it twice more together and then come together?
Let's do that.
We've got a little bit of time. So yeah, I personally would like to move it a couple more times.
Let's do that. And again, if anyone has other ideas where they want to put a different movement in, because that's where they feel they are lacking, please feel free. So we're opening all of us into those connected light flowers. May wisdom shine through me. May love glow within me. May strength penetrate me, that in me may arise a helper of mankind, a servant of holy things, selfless and true. Opening to inspiration from above. Future, past, present, and the divine. And being and then stretching up, making yourself really tall, connecting to the divine, bringing that awareness of matter and the height together. And back into the symmetry. May wisdom shine through me, gently meeting the earth with our tread, with our walk. May love glow within me. May strength penetrate me, that in me may arise a helper of mankind, a servant of holy things, selfless and true. Into the playful rhythm twice. Coming into the height for the vortex. Compressing the space. Weight on the back foot, front foot slides forward, pressing it together.
Wonderful. Thank you, Helena. I'll bring you off spotlight now, and so people can share and it will come up with.
Sure, yes. And I just wanted to add to the actual little flowers of that flower of life, that it's not as straightforward as there is one flower that goes into the next, but within each flower, it goes smaller and smaller and smaller. And from each flower, it goes bigger and bigger and bigger. So there are layers and layers also within the energy center, where maybe we have a flower in the heart, or a wheel, or chakram, or lotus flower. But even every petal consists of lots of little flowers that should revolve and not block each other. So when we're in alignment with the forces, opening ourselves to the forces on all levels, then all these tiny little flowers within the main start revolving and creating an energy stream where it's endless when we align.
Wow. Thank you very much, Helena. It's very inspiring, and I love the vortex, which I hated, and you told me the vortex in my garden. And since then I have a better idea. But now during this session I did on ascension, did the vortex and the balance of the große Waagrechte.
Yes.
And it brought me up to such a, even more, and it's a very beautiful, it's a gift what you told us today. So I think it's like a Baukasten. It is, what's a Baukasten?
A building
yourself kit.
like a play building box kind of thing.
Yeah, it is brilliant. I have to leave. My patient is waiting already, but I thank you very much. It was brilliant that I could join in. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye. Up. Hey, ja, het is.
Thank you, Helena. I really enjoyed the session. It was really nice to work on the vortex as well. It's not something that I've practiced very much, actually, the vortex. So that was very welcome. And I especially like the lead up with those exercises you've chosen to take into account these different spaces. Thank you.
Perhaps if I say one more thing,
Mm.
because there is so much that can be said about the energy centers. And if we're looking at it from the point of view, what is said in Steiner, there are things that really correlate with the Indian philosophies where they talk about it. And in the Indian philosophies, it says about the energy centers that, for instance, the root energy center is blocked by fear, and fear on a material level in particular, that maybe one has money worries or things like that. And the sacral energy center is blocked by guilt. The solar plexus, so our will space, is blocked by shame. And the heart is blocked by grief, undigested grief. So it's also in the area of the lungs, which in the Chinese meridians are also to do with sadness and grief. And the throat, which is blocked by the lies we tell ourselves, which is why when we do the symmetry and we're looking at two sides of a subject, or when we do the scales and we're weighing the truth in the dimensions, that's how we can, on a physical level. So when it says that anthroposophy, Bothmer is applied anthroposophy in the body, we can, through these movements, perhaps unblock areas, but also get insights. So when we're going through those movements, thoughts might come up, negative and positive, and it's about listening there. What is it that is coming up for me when I'm doing the scales, or when I'm doing the eagle, or why am I resisting doing the eagle? And often when we're resisting doing certain movements, that's exactly what we need.
Hear, hear.
Yeah, totally with you. What if you carry on through the sequence? What would the third eye and the crown? What are the blockages there?
The third eye and the crown, as far as I researched, is about illusions and feeling disconnected from the divine. So if you have illusions about what is true and what is untrue, we often think that the matter and the material life is all there is, and the rational thought is all there is. So being too much in the headspace and overthinking things and saying, well, there is no proof for this, is there? How can you prove this? That would perhaps be a blockage in the third eye. And if we don't believe in something greater than ourselves, in the higher self, in God, or whatever one might call it, that divine united consciousness, that would be a blockage in the crown connection. And for me, that blockage in the crown connection, I don't know if I should say this, but when we see a human being that becomes more and more like this, for me, that could be an indication that the connection to this has been lost and we've gone too much into matter. Mm-hmm. And if you wanted to know within the exercises, for me, the domes is very much the crown, and the turning on the incline plane, it switches from one to the other. It goes between, for me, third eye and the crown. And the eagle is very much, in my view, between the heart and the third eye, because we're overextending into the width, we're overextending into that connection. But what brings us back up is the unseen, where we connect upwards to bring ourselves up. So the hands that we can't see, where we have to trust something beyond ourselves, where we have to trust the unseen to bring us back up.
So you mean the lion? You just mentioned earlier the eagle, but
no, I mean the
lion.
So, sorry, yes, we're here, and we have to trust.
Okay, yeah. So it is the eagle. Yeah, great.
To bring us back up. So yes, I mixed things up in how I was explaining that. I apologize, but we need to kind of trust that which we cannot see to bring us back up into connection. And because this is relatively new for me to make these connections, this is room for exploring. And I found that as I was going through the exercises, some exercises had a little bit of everything. Like, for instance, the fall to the point, there were lots of elements there, which is why it was condensed into the 4 elements. So it's not as straightforward as we're going up the evolutionary line, and this is where the things are placed. And the vortex is a prime example for that, that it's in the horizontal, but it's actually for 17-year-olds and above. Because with the vortex comes some sort of responsibility, that we know we're coming from a truthful place, that we know we're acting not just for ourselves, we're acting for the community, for the collective.
And I guess we start off playfully with all of these things through the earlier exercises, particularly the roundelays. And as the children get older, the movements become a more conscious thing to match their development. So yeah, great.
Cool. Thank you so much, Helena. I'll finish the recording here, but if people want to stay on for a bit of a chat afterwards, then that's great. Unless somebody wants their comment to be in the recording, but I'm going to assume not. Great. Okay.